With Zelina Vega deleting a controversial tweet following her return to WWE and Lana accusing the company of making men feel more important than women, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for July 3rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. With Edge returning to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal title, Booker T noted on his Hall of Fame podcast why WWE is having to rely upon older stars to come back and face Reigns. Edge is trying to finish this thing more than anything. I can feel where he's coming from. Was it one of those eyebrow raisers? I think so. I think the people were like, oh yeah, we've got something here. One thing about the old school man is it ain't dead yet. That's why a lot of times we keep having to go back to it in certain ways. That's why there's still a lot of chatter about, is John Cena coming back? Is John Cena going to have one last match? All the talk about John Cena sucks and people still want to see him. The Rock right now, if The Rock were to come back and have a match against Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, don't think it's not going to be sold out with people hanging from the rafters. That's the thing. That's the thing right there. The old school, it ain't dead. Reigns will be defending his title against Edge at Money in the Bank on July 18th, as Roman is likely set to face John Cena at SummerSlam after. Being the leader of the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho knows a thing or two about factions in wrestling. On his podcast, the former WWE star criticized Vince McMahon's company for quickly disbanding groups, like the Hurt Business. There is always a tendency to rush. Like the Inner Circle, our group has been together for over 2 years now, never broke up, never turned on each other. If we were in WWE, we would have done it in 3 months, and if you don't believe it, look at the Hurt Business. These guys were great, and here's what happens. They break guys up, and then 2 of the guys end up doing nothing and 1 guy stays. On the Battleground podcast, Drew McIntyre touched on his desire to get back his old theme music, referencing his friend Sheamus's former theme song. I don't see anyone asking for a lobster head. Everyone's asking about broken freaking dreams. One of these days, that music is going to come back. I hear this question all the time. I see it every day on social media. One of these days, I'm going to get it approved, have it for a show. I'm positive we still have the rights to it. Everybody in the crowd better know the words to that song, because I go out there and people are like, what's that? I'm going to be let down. Everyone start learning the lyrics, because eventually I will get that song and I'll ensure Sheamus will never have Lobster Head as his theme again. Both Sheamus and Drew McIntyre's original themes are far better songs than what they have now. It would be awesome if either could get their old music back. With the Undisputed Era making their debut in 2017, they dominated the landscape of NXT, holding all the men's titles on the brand at one point. Still, earlier this year, the group was disbanded after Adam Cole betrayed his faction. Speaking to TalkSport, Cole shared his thoughts on Yui's breakup. It was conflicting emotions. I had been literally attached to the hip to Kyle, Bobby, and then Roddy my entire run on NXT. The moment I debuted, I was standing beside Kyle and Bobby. Everything I had known about my time on NXT was Undisputed Era. Going in a different direction was scary. Also, it happened so fast. It wasn't this thing that we were preparing for. It was something that fell into our laps. We had very little time to process it or think about it, but looking at it now, I absolutely think it was the right call. It's never going to feel, especially when you have the chemistry we had, it's never going to feel like the perfect time. However, I do think development-wise for all of us individually, it's been really important. I had the time of my life in the Undisputed Era. I really did, but I do think it was a good call. With Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly set to face off at the Great American Bash on Tuesday, we'll have to see what comes next for the former members of the Undisputed Era. Lana mentioned on Talk Is Jericho how shocked she was when her husband was let go, adding that WWE makes men feel more important than women, and that being a manager made her feel like she was playing second fiddle. When Miro got let go, for me personally, it was harder. When Miro got let go, I was a lot more depressed, I was a lot more sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had my days of crying and wallowing, but I think partly as a performer and artist, I allow myself to wallow. I'm like, I'm finally not feeling happy. Let me wallow so I can have more emotion when I need to do this part. You know, dig deep, use this for method. Am I going to come up with some type of funny concept? So I just allow myself to feel I think it actually does help us sometimes tap into being better performers or actors. But with Miro, that messed me up. First of all, never in a million years would I have thought he would have been fired before I was. Like, never. That place makes you feel that way. That place makes you feel that men are more important than women. That place makes you feel, especially if you are a manager or a valet, that you're secondary. And yeah, maybe you're secondary, but I do feel like I was a big part of his success. I think I'm a big part of his success behind closed doors at AEW, and I can talk about that now, but a big turn for him was when we started really talking about, like, let's make your message a little bit more clear over there. And so it is reassuring to me that I do grasp storytelling, and I do grasp storytelling in wrestling as well. So when he got fired, God, I was beyond devastated. Of course, with Miro now the TNT champion in AEW, we'll have to see if Lana joins her husband in this new promotion. The commentators calling wrestling matches can make or break a product. This was seen through WWE's hiring of Adnan Virk to do play-by-play on Raw, with him being let go shortly after getting that gig. On his 83 Weeks podcast, WWE Hall of Famer Eric Bischoff touched on the issues with modern-day wrestling commentary. One of the aspects of wrestling that is the most overproduced is the announcers. They don't know how to make it feel real anymore. They're too busy being good at what they do and too good at being real. I don't mean that as a criticism. It's the nature of the evolution of the business. It's not because they don't have the talent or the ability. In the case of Jim Ross, he's left more talent on the side of the road than I'll ever have as a play-by-play announcer. But when you're overproduced because you know too much and are trying to do too much based on all the information you have, you're not bringing that genuine feel, that energy that is so contagious to the viewer. With him now in AEW being managed by Vicky Guerrero, sky seems to be the limit for Andrade. He recently spoke to Lucha Libre Online about his time in WWE, as he mentioned that he wanted to face Triple H. I would have liked to wrestle against Triple H in WWE. I would have loved to wrestle him in a one-on-one match, but it was not materialized. Things did not go our way, but I would have loved wrestling against Triple H. While facing the King of Kings at this point is a long shot, he will be taking on Matt Sydal next week on Dynamite for his in-ring debut in AEW. Zelina Vega recently made a return to WWE programming after being released by the company for not complying with their controversial third-party ban, which would have prevented her from streaming on Twitch and more. Right before her release was announced by WWE, Vega tweeted that she supported unionization. Now that she is back on TV, it seems that tweet has been deleted. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.